The World Cup has a serious Ecuador problem. This golden generation is built to absolutely shock the entire tournament. This is not just hype anymore. This is reality. La Tri is arriving with arguably the best defense on earth. A backline valued at over $210 million. A defense that plenty of European heavyweights would kill to have. We are talking about Piero Hincapie, one of world football's most versatile defenders. A treble winner at Bayer Leverkusen, he became fundamental to Xabi Alonso's system with over 100 appearances. Now he is shining at left back for Arsenal, helping the Gunners chase both the Premier League and the Champions League. Then you have Willian Pacho. He logged the most minutes in Luis Enrique's PSG squad that ultimately conquered Europe. And in just a few weeks, he could become a two-time European champion. Right now, there genuinely is not a centre-back on earth you can confidently say is better than Pacho. Pervis Estupinan, Europa League finalist, Champions League semi-finalist, a fullback with endless energy up and down the pitch and an absolute thunderbolt left foot. That level earned him a move to AC Milan, plus Joel Ordonez, champion in Belgium. He is already battle-tested in the Champions League and incredibly calm beyond his years. But this squad is not just defence. Their biggest star is Moises Caicedo, a top Premier League midfielder. Caicedo conquered England with his massive performances, then climbed to the absolute top of world football by winning the Club World Cup with Chelsea, the best player at his club. He is a midfielder who runs, destroys, creates, and completely dominates. And this Ecuador team can seriously punish you in attack. Gonzalo Plata exploded across South America, with Flamengo winning the Copa Libertadores and stepping up as totally decisive in massive games. He shook off the inconsistent winger label and transformed into an absolute killer. Goals, assists, and massive personality in finals. Then comes Kendry Paez, the crown jewel of Ecuadorian football. The Chelsea prospect is currently developing at Strasbourg. He is scoring goals, building massive confidence, and preparing for global superstardom. Leading them all is the eternal captain, Enner Valencia, Ecuador's all-time top scorer, the man who has stepped onto more massive stages than any Ecuadorian footballer in history, a fearless striker. 2026 will be his final dance. Listen closely. Ecuador finished second in the hardest qualifiers on earth, above Brazil, above Colombia, only behind Argentina. They delivered a historic campaign including an 11-match unbeaten run. In fact, Ecuador have not lost a single match since 2024. 17 matches unbeaten across friendlies and official tournament games. Let me ask you something. What did Ghana in 2010? A frantic 20 seconds where Monterrey goes for it. And what about Costa Rica in 2014, Croatia in 2018, and Morocco in 2022 all have in common? They were the ultimate dark horses of the World Cup, teams nobody really believed in until they completely shocked the planet. Ecuador in 2026 might be exactly that squad. Do not believe me? Take a look at this. To understand Ecuador right now, we need to revisit the past. Getting to this level was certainly not easy for La Tri. Ecuador was the last South American nation to historically qualify for a World Cup. Only Venezuela still have never made the cut. For decades, Ecuador constantly stumbled in the qualifiers. Ever since Chile 1962, they kept trying. But the World Cup always felt totally out of reach. The only major exception before the new century hit in 1966. Alberto Spencer led Ecuador on a historic run, ending only after a playoff loss to Chile. Then absolutely everything flipped before Japan-Korea 2002. That qualification was not just historic, it permanently altered Ecuadorian football forever. In their first World Cup ever, Ecuador drew Italy, Mexico, and Croatia. Their debut match was against Italy, and they lost 2-0 from a Christian Vieri double. Another painful defeat against Mexico followed, but Agustin Delgado managed to score Ecuador's first ever World Cup goal. Then pure history arrived. A stunning 1-0 win over Croatia, all thanks to Edison Mendes. Ecuador secured their first World Cup victory. Suddenly, the football world finally started paying attention to La Tri. But the best was yet to come. Germany 2006 remains Ecuador's greatest World Cup campaign ever. They beat Poland 2-0. They completely smashed Costa Rica 3-0 and reached the round of 16 playing fearless football. Fast, physical, aggressive. Proper South American energy. Germany definitely battered them later, and England knocked them out with a David Beckham free kick. But Ecuador had permanently transformed their reputation. They stopped being a squad, just happy to qualify, and became serious competitors. Then came Brazil 2014. Enner Valencia fully exploded onto the world stage. He scored against Switzerland, bagged a massive brace against Honduras, and Ecuador reached the final group game alive. A 0-0 draw with France eliminated them by the absolute tightest margins. But once again, Ecuador proved they could go to war with major football heavyweights. Then came the total transformation that changed everything. Ecuador went from finishing 8th during 2018 qualifiers to becoming a supreme South American powerhouse ahead of Qatar 2022. From a wildly vulnerable defense to one of the most brutal teams to score on. From completely missing the tournament to qualifying with extreme comfort. Over in Qatar, they made instant history. Ecuador became the first squad ever to defeat a host nation in the opening match of a World Cup. Simple as that. Critics might claim Qatar was weak, but plenty of massive nations failed to win their opening games against hosts in past tournaments. Then came a tense draw against the Netherlands. And honestly, Ecuador absolutely deserved to win that match. That was the exact moment the globe realized this squad could genuinely go toe-to-toe with anyone. The crushing defeat against Senegal hurt badly, but it left behind something entirely different. Real hope. Because for the first time since 2006, Ecuador no longer felt like a lucky fluke. They felt like the start of something totally real. Behind this entire rise stood one man, Gustavo Alfaro, the mastermind manager holding the highest win percentage in Ecuador national team history. The man who turned La Tri into a fearless, organized machine, completely ready to stare football's biggest giants right in the eye. Qatar never killed Ecuador's dream. It just lit the fire for what came next. Now they had to face a brutal new test, the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. That 3-point deduction FIFA handed down over the Byron Castillo drama made the road to the World Cup feel absolutely impossible from day one. Honestly, after a rocky start, fans started doubting this Ecuador squad all over again. But then, something flipped. Ecuador didn't just bounce back, they totally took over the qualifiers, booking their ticket with an 11-match unbeaten run. During that stretch, just one goal conceded. For one, they built South America's ultimate defense. Just 5 goals allowed across 18 qualification matches, plus 9 clean sheets in their last 12 official games. After Argentina knocked Ecuador out of the Copa America on penalties, a fresh era kicked off. Sebastian Beccacece took charge, and step by step, La Tri started evolving. Their first win arrived against Peru, a tight scoreline sure, but the result was absolutely massive. Enner Valencia finally broke his scoring drought, and suddenly confidence surged back into the squad. Following a tough loss to Brazil in Beccacese's debut, serious doubts crept in regarding Ecuador's lack of goals, but those questions completely vanished once Ecuador smashed Bolivia 4-0. It was easily the most explosive attacking display of the Beccacece era. That night, Ecuador proved they weren't just defensive monsters, they could totally dismantle teams going forward too. Gonzalo Plata returned in pure superstar mode, bagging a brace, while Alan Minder's explosive pace terrified Bolivia all game long. But then came the result that changed everything. Colombia 0, Ecuador 1. For many fans, this was the exact turning point for this generation. A pure tactical masterclass. Ecuador dropped to 10 men when Piero Hincapie got a red card in minute 34. But instead of falling apart, they actually grew stronger. Enner Valencia delivered the final dagger. A stunning solo goal that locked up a historic win in Barranquilla, ending years of failure against Colombia away. Beccacece rebuilt the team into a brutally compact low block that Colombia simply couldn't break. But the game that truly shocked the world came next. Ecuador 1, Argentina 0. That 90 minutes cemented La Tri as a true defensive powerhouse, entirely capable of stopping the world champions. Moises Caicedo and Alan Franco completely suffocated Argentina's midfield. Messi's squad barely sniffed the goal, with Ecuador giving up almost nothing at all. And that masterclass perfectly highlighted why Ecuador finished out that run, giving up just 2 goals across 12 official matches. These results aren't just luck anymore. This is the undeniable product of a new golden generation. You simply cannot discuss Ecuador's present or future without talking about Moises Caicedo. At just 24 years old, the Chelsea midfielder serves as both the engine and emotional heartbeat of this squad. His 2025 campaign was absolutely huge. A Club World Cup champion, an elite Premier League midfielder, and now a genuine leader inside a Chelsea dressing room packed with expensive stars. Caicedo brings something Ecuadorian football rarely saw before: relentless consistency at the elite level, fierce mentality, and global leadership. His main objective is crystal clear: guide Ecuador toward their greatest World Cup run in history. Because right now, Moises Caicedo is Europe's finest defensive midfielder, leading the Premier League with 56 critical interceptions. Honestly, watching him week in and week out, it feels nearly impossible to bypass him. Already holding over 100 caps for Chelsea, Moi is gearing up for his second World Cup, riding high off the absolute biggest triumph of his entire career so far, capturing the FIFA Club World Cup, where he took home the Adidas bronze ball as one of the standout players of the whole tournament. Physically, he's a total monster. He dictates matches using endless energy and staggering intensity. His locker room influence at Chelsea has grown so massive that he's even rocked the captain's armband. The truly scary part: he just keeps evolving. Fans used to peg him purely as a destroyer, but lately he's adding goals, vital assists, and elite ball progression to his arsenal. Just look at that strike against Liverpool. His pure shooting technique and late arriving box runs have leveled up completely. Another flawless example happened against Napoli in the Champions League. That was easily his finest European showing of the year. Inside one of football's most hostile stadiums, Caicedo acted as the solid anchor, sparking Chelsea's epic comeback at the Diego Armando Maradona. He nailed 11 of 12 long passes, pinging the ball with ridiculous maturity. Plus, he grabbed 5 interceptions, completely suffocating multiple Napoli counters sparked by Kvaratskhelia. And Moi already knows exactly how to taste international glory. He claimed the Copa Sudamericana with Independiente del Valle, secured the Under-20 Copa Libertadores, won the Conference League with Chelsea, and then conquered the Club World Cup as a central star within Enzo Maresca's tactical system. But the thing that makes him genuinely priceless for Ecuador is how he always steps up during La Tri's most high-stakes moments. He found the net against Senegal during the Qatar World Cup. Then, facing Argentina, he absolutely dismantled the inner engine of the reigning world champions. He wrapped up that shift with 12 total recoveries, winning 9 out of his 11 ground duels. Every transition flowed right through his boots. Every recovery breathed life into Ecuador. Finding that specific profile of player is nearly impossible. For Ecuador, possessing his talent literally changes everything. Then came the Colombia away fixture. Ecuador dropped to 10 men for nearly a full hour. Caicedo somehow covered 12.4 kilometers, the absolute highest distance of his entire career during an official match. At certain points, he basically morphed into a third centre-back, fiercely guarding that low block and purely leading by example. Plus, he is not just about defending anymore. Against Uruguay and Bolivia, he flashed a totally different weapon: pure creativity. Those assists were massive. They helped Ecuador grab second place in the South American qualifiers. Plus, his connection with Kendry Paez is getting stronger. Moi actually set up Kendry's very first qualifier goal. He is the first Ecuadorian to snatch MVP honors across the Club World Cup, Copa America, Premier League and Champions League. Right now, he is primed to be Ecuador's main man at the World Cup, so we covered their biggest star. But what really sets this Ecuador national team apart is the backline. It brings to mind something John Gregory said, and he nailed it. Forwards win matches, but defenders win championships. And Ecuador has two guys who stand way above the rest. First up, the best centre-back on earth, Willian Pacho. Just listen to this absolute madness. Willian is the top defender at PSG, a squad that has basically been the best football team on the planet over the last 2 years. He made history as the first Ecuadorian to play in 2 UEFA Champions League finals. Nobody racked up more minutes under Luis Enrique last season than him. And he is doing the exact same thing this year. That tells you everything you need to know. Whenever Pacho goes head-to-head with superstars, he just makes them look totally average. Harry Kane, Michael Olise, and Luis Diaz are probably the deadliest attacking trio in world football today. Bayern easily smashed past 100 goals this season, but that night, they got absolutely nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, they ran straight into Willian Pacho. 6 duels contested, 6 duels won. A 100% success rate. The specific man-marking job he did on Harry Kane just completely shut him down. Aside from one late scramble at the end, Kane simply could not do what he does best, dropping deeper, linking the play, and building combinations. He pulled the exact same trick against Liverpool at Anfield, twice cutting every passing lane, anticipating every move, and completely suffocating Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Hugo Ekitike. Purely because of Pacho, Liverpool barely created a thing. That is what makes him so terrifying. He does not just defend, he unplugs the opposition's raw talent. The guy is a born winner. With Willian Pacho out on the pitch, PSG have become practically unbeatable in European knockout football for well over a year now. Luis Enrique's squad has not lost a single knockout tie against European opposition. Even crazier? 7 ties played, 7 won. We genuinely have not grasped this yet, mate. Willian Pacho literally does not know what losing a Champions League knockout tie feels like. Here is another ridiculous stat for you. Across League One and the Champions League this season, Pacho played 39 matches without picking up a single yellow card. Not one. No panic, 0 reckless challenges, just pure control and elite defensive intelligence. He is Luis Enrique's most trusted defender, and a massive reason why PSG keep winning absolutely everything. Ecuador really secured a generational centre-back in their squad. Honestly, it should not shock anyone that Ecuador boasts the tightest defence on the continent when they have this absolute monster commanding the backline. For Ecuador, he keeps delivering massive shifts. That game against Brazil was probably his most iconic performance in a La Tri shirt so far. He took home man of the match after completely pocketing Vinicius Jr., Estevao, and Richarlison. Pacho played all 90 minutes, completed 92% of his passes, and created a key chance. He won 3 aerial duels, added 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, and a tackle. Right after becoming the first Ecuadorian to lift the Champions League trophy, he flew home and defended his country's badge with that exact same intensity. That elite club form has directly spilled over into Sebastian Beccace's Ecuador lineup. Partnered up with Piero Hincapie, Pacho anchors one of the most ruthless defenses in all of South America. Whenever those two share the pitch, Ecuador has locked down 13 clean sheets during the entire World Cup qualification process. So look, if we are discussing the biggest stars on a team boasting the best international defense on the planet, we absolutely need to talk about Piero Hincapie. We have to highlight him, because Piero is quickly turning into one of the most vital footballers Ecuador has ever produced. That 2023-24 season was historic for Bayer Leverkusen and for Hincapie. The squad captured an unbeaten Bundesliga title, the very first in club history. Piero became essential thanks to his sheer versatility as both a centre-back and left-back. Xabi Alonso trusted him blindly, and that faith turned him into a veteran with over 100 Leverkusen appearances. One of his biggest statements came during that massive 3-0 thrashing of Bayern Munich in 2024. Lining up as the left-sided centre-back, he completely shut out Leroy Sane and Harry Kane. His anticipation, raw aggression and recovery pace were just unbelievable. It genuinely felt like his final tactical graduation. Those shifts grabbed Mikel Arteta's attention, and his adaptation at Arsenal has been totally brilliant. Stacked against Premier League fullbacks per 90, he ranks number 1 in dual win percentage, overall pass completion and forward pass completion, and short passing. His first massive statement dropped in Arsenal's 4-1 derby win over Tottenham. He replaced Gabriel, instantly looking like a true leader against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League semi-final first leg. People called it an imperial display, dominating defensively and joining the attack. Up against Newcastle, he logged 5 successful tackles and 5 clearances. Then against Chelsea, he completely erased Liam Delap, Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer and Estevao. Just an absolute monster performance. And for Ecuador, exact same story. Take that famous 1-0 win over Argentina, widely considered his greatest match for La Tri. He finished with 2 tackles, 3 clearances, 2 interceptions and 5 total recoveries, completely shutting down the reigning world champions. Later, in Copa America against Argentina, he earned a spot in the team of the tournament. He recorded 6 clearances and totally restricted Leo Messi and Lautaro Martinez. And that clash against Brazil was just another huge statement. Together, Willian Pacho and Piero Hincapie won 10 out of 11 total duels combined. Pacho won every single duel, he faced 3 for 3. Meanwhile, Hincapie lost only 1 all game. Rich completely disappeared. Huna could barely touch the ball. Brazil had absolutely 0 answers. Ecuador genuinely boasts a world-class defensive partnership right now. But listen, these absolute monsters at the back are not alone. Joel Odons is another name you need to remember. The kid is practically locked in for a move to Juventus after the World Cup, walking a path just like Willian Pacho. He is a 2-time Belgian champion with club bug and already an absolute rock defensively. Then there is Pervis Estupin, a Europa League winner with Villarreal, packing just ridiculous quality. An absolute cannon in his left foot and endless energy. Joel Odons, Willian Pacho, Piero Hincapie and Pervis Estupinian. Look, that backline alone could terrify entire nations. No wonder Ecuador's defense is expected to be one of the toughest at the World Cup, guarding Hernand Galíndez. And then comes the next gem, Kendry Paez. The Ecuadorian wonder kid, currently playing at River Plate, was just named by FIFA as one of 11 teenage stars to watch in their first World Cup. His pure technical skill is undeniable. This tournament could be the perfect global stage for him to truly announce himself, assuming his injury heals up. Gonzalo Platera gives the squad great attacking flexibility, while Kendry keeps pushing for a bigger role if he can find that consistency. In midfield, Pedro Vite and Moises Caicedo bring pure balance, while Nilson Angulo and John Yaboa add blazing speed and directness out wide. Up front, the man leading the charge remains Enner Valencia. He is the historic captain, the emotional leader, now gearing up for his 3rd World Cup. Ecuador started 2026 strong, grinding out valuable draws against Morocco and the Netherlands. That pushed their unbeaten run to 17 matches since September 2024. The only real concern is goals. Ecuador has drawn 9 of their last 11 matches, and 5 of those ended 0-0. Because if they manage to fix that one issue, we are genuinely looking at the ultimate dark horse for the 2026 World Cup.